excellent afternoon, viewers. Does it feel like it's been a while you saw us last? I know our viewers have missed us. We have the Real Talkers, and we are here again today, live from the Silverbird Studios, bringing you Real Talk. Welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Kike. My name remains Kike, and of course, I have my beautiful, opinionated co-host. How are you doing, the woman in yellow? How are you doing?
Hello, Kike. I'm good. I bless God we're here today. I can see you. I can see Damilola.
She planned for us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Efo. Welcome to our program, Real Talk with Kike.
How are you doing?
Oh, beautiful. I'm doing very well. It's another awesome day to thank God for whatever we have and whatever we have been doing so far. But for everyone out there, please, I will implore us to be good citizens of the country. It's really not been easy out there. Like, it's not been for us. Don't make it feel like, oh, because you people are on TV. We feel the heat you feel. We're all Nigerians. But let's take it easy and have faith in God. My name is Damilola Banire. Welcome on the show.
All right, on that note, I think it's important for us. So, like Nigerians are yearning for on this day in history. Please, let's take a look on this day in history. Please stay with us.
On this day in history, exactly 6 years ago, on the 22nd of June 2015, President Muhammadu Buhari began moves to remove fuel subsidy completely. He said that the proceeds would be used for the provision of free and compulsory primary/secondary education across the country. Nigerians have afterwards listened to different rationales for the removal of subsidy till this day. It remains a subject of controversy in the national budget, and many analysts have continued to differ in opinions on the significance and the allowance of fuel subsidy in the nation.
Right, on this day in history, Dami, let me start with you. We've been having a lot of back and forth in the last 6 years that this administration have come to power, especially when it comes to subsidy. What's your take on this day in history?
If we've been coming from 6 years ago, I don't think it will stop this year. I pray that we don't go 6 years after, still talking about the same thing. And yes, I think that it's a good idea when we buy what we consume, when we pay for it, what we consume, so to say. But in the essence of, or in the space that somebody wants to hide under the carpet and amass this money for themselves, because the president rightly said that the proceeds from the subsidy removal will be used for the primary school children to have compulsory free education at primary and secondary level. The last time there was anything free was in Babajak on this time. Even the lunch you are eating is not free. Nothing is free. So I don't know where that has come to, and I don't know where it is going to. But it will be good that at least if we must buy fuel at 200, let's know that nobody is cross-carpeting the money meant for something else. That's my take on subsidy.
Therefore,
Kike, I have been hearing about fuel subsidy since I was a child. Fuel subsidy. Nigerians are confused.
Yeah.
What is this fuel subsidy thing that never goes away? Even the president, before he came on board, said he didn't know there was anything like fuel subsidy. He didn't understand what it meant. So quite frankly, fuel subsidy, no fuel subsidy. Let them just move this nation forward. That's all I care right now.
I think to just add to what Damilola said, the only free thing that we have enjoyed in this country is the jab, the COVID-19 vaccine. Aside that, is there any other thing I can say that we're enjoying? Absolutely not. All right. On that note, it's time for us to take a quick message from our sponsors. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. The weekend was quite a good one for us, and over it was when we had Father's Day, which was celebrated globally. We still say happy wishes and appreciation to all the fathers out there in arrears. Without fathers, this world won't exist. Thumbs up to all those who are contributing to their own quota of raising the children. On today's edition, we have a special guest on the show. We are discussing career dynamics and business transitioning. Have we noticed that it poses a dilemma to some, or will I say some of us, on how to manage our career diversification, especially when we have started enjoying success in it. Just like I said on my social media page this morning, most of us find it difficult on how to use our well-built fame, name, brand to diversify into other businesses, especially when we are to speak. On the other hand, some of us who do not get enough success or fulfillment in our current career do not, will I say, know when to quit to start a career in some other areas that can yield you or desired fulfillment from other industry, basically. So our guest today is Atu Yote Akpobome, aka Alibaba. I'm coming for him to help me pronounce the name properly. He is a household name and a veteran in African comedy industry. Let's take a quick look at his profile. Please stay with us. Again, many thanks for being in the studio with us. It's nice to have you on set. Many of the viewers, or will I say many of us, want to tap into some of the comedy that you've done thus far, from years back till date. And I know that you are also someone who is valuable when it comes to business talks, of course, and when it comes to the state of the nation at the moment. Again, many thanks for honoring my invitation.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks for having me. Good to meet you.
But I'm the only one feeling the heat from this side. Like, it's disseminating. Like, you can't feel what I'm feeling. I will feel it till we leave here at 3 o'clock. It's good to have you.
All right, let me start by saying that with your recent interview with TV, where you said that being a dynamic can take you far in your profession, and as a comedian you have been dynamic when it comes to grooming talent and starting up initiatives, so to speak. Sure. So what and how does it take to be a dynamic in one's profession today?
Okay, first of all, it is that for you to be dynamic in your profession, you first have to understand the profession and what it stands for. What happens with a lot of people is that some people get into a career because they just want the money. They want the fame, and they want to just be popular for it. They don't get into it because of the essence of the profession. But if you get into it because of the essence of the profession, it's easy for you to know what you are there for. So what I did was, I'm using myself as a yardstick, is that I first understood what stand-up comedy was for. Okay. Stand-up comedy was not just about making people laugh. It was making people laugh, and while their mouth is open, you stick the truth in. Wow. So it was a conveyor belt, a belt that would take people from an area of not understanding to a point of understanding while they are feeling good about it. Which is why Mark Twain said, if you tell some people to go to hell, and you say it really nicely, they'll be looking forward to it. All right? So for me, it is that you first must understand that profession that you're going into. And those dynamics involve the people that you're performing for, the philosophy behind your performance. So for me as a comedian, it was that you want people to be happy, you want people to laugh, you want to feel a vacuum. The reason we grew this comedy industry was because we became a service industry. We're providing a service. Once you provide a service, people would want what you're offering. Let me take a case like somebody like Ruth. Ruth in the Bible was a widow. And then she came and she was picking and gleaning grains and all of that from the field. And somebody saw her and said, that's dedication. That's commitment. So when you're doing your stuff, you really don't need to be telling anybody that this is why I'm doing this. But as you're doing it, somebody else will say, this is what I... So those are some of the things that work. And now, dynamism in stand-up comedy is, you have to understand the people you're performing to. Now, there's the age between age 8 and 15. There's the age between 16 and 25. And there's the age between 26 and 34 or 35, thereabout. Then you have the 45 and above. The major market, emerging market, is that age between 16 and 25. The emerging market, because that's where you get a lot of people who get married. Okay. So as a comedian, you have to be dynamic about that. Make sure that the content you churn out relates to those people, because they're the ones that will tell their dad, that's the person I want to be my MC. Now, don't forget that then between the ages of 26 and 45, those are the people who make decisions happen. Don't think that is the chairman of the board that will recommend you for something. It is someone who attended the party and works in an organization that the chairman will call, okay, my birthday is coming, who are the people that would. So you have to understand the trend. Trends are part of understanding the dynamics and working towards it. So all of that were what I studied and understood, and I share with a lot of people. That's why on that interview that you were talking about, when the person asked me how come I have been so relevant all these years, and I said I have to be dynamic. I have to move with the times. When people started going to Twitter, and I joined, some people say, oh no, why would you join Twitter? It's not. And I joined. After a while, the same people who said, why did you join, called me to say, is it possible for you to tweet something for us?
That's
We understood it.
Yes, exactly. And then time came that Instagram now took over, and then you joined Instagram. Some of those, if you notice, there's still a lot of people, catchment of people between the ages of 45 and 60 who are locked down in Facebook.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They're locked down in Facebook, so they're not dynamic, but they want the benefit of Instagram and Twitter.
yeah.
So what does that say? It means that you're living in the past and expecting to move into the future. There are still some people who can't handle a Zoom call and be part of a Zoom meeting. And so when they tell them in the office, oh, we're having a Zoom meeting, they have to call their daughters or children. So you see when the Zoom meeting is starting, somebody is coming to adjust this for them, adjust that. So you're not dynamic. You have to move on. Okay. Dynamism is also like what you find in the Bible. Before now, your 10 commandments were in a scroll, were in this tablet that Moses brought down from the mountain. So it was etched in stone. Then it moved from there to scroll. You have to roll the scroll like this, and then it moved from there to papyrus, big paper, and other. You see, now pastors preach with tablets.
Sure.
So your Bible has moved, so it's dynamic.
You know, but sir, listening to you, I cannot help but ask, because I know that the financial and the economic uncertainty in Nigeria makes people develop phobia, especially when it comes to business dynamism, you know, and of course diversification. So my question, I don't know if they should start their businesses, whether it will succeed or not, because there's a phobia in them. So from your own experience with all you've shared thus far, making us understand the flexibility, your target audience, and of course trying to evolve with technology, because technology is what you have explained thus far. So from your own experience, I'm sure you don't end from just comedy alone with all we've shared. How will you advise anybody to diversify in their present career?
Okay, you see, what happens most times is that once you have a talent, you find out what services that talent can respond to.
Yeah. Okay.
So you know how to sing, so you could do jingles, you could perform at nightclubs, you could sing commercial songs that people can then go and buy. You could perform at a live concert. So there are different ways to. You then could also write songs and sell. If I tell you, say I Love You is a song by Techno that he wrote for Davido. So if you are a musician, for instance, there are different ways that you can express yourself. You can decide to perform in a church and decide that is the church that you want to just stay with. You could decide to teach music if you know it. You could decide to do the kind of thing. There's a particular, during the lockdown, there was a guy who started playing musical instrument, white guy, started playing musical instrument and performing people's songs. The people who he was performing their songs were inviting him to their shows because he was doing it very well. So what is it? Is that your talent should be expressed in different ways. Let me take a person like Aliko Dangote. He's a businessman. How has he pushed that talent that he has as a businessman? He's pushed it to rice, salt, sugar, cement, now petroleum.
Basics.
Even he did the Dangote spaghetti and the rest of them at the time. So what does that say? Is that you have to express yourself in different ways, as long as you understand your talent and you know what your talent responds to. The failure of people is that some of them don't know what their talent responds to, and some of them hide behind a weakness. You just mentioned now what is because of the financial implications or something. You see, when it comes to people adding value, every time you put out a word that limits you, you shut down all opportunities. So somebody says, we need people to come apply for a job. and somebody applies, I'm a widow.
She's put a clause.
I'm a divorcee. I need you to give me the job. So somebody sent that to me one time, and the person said, I'm a widow, and I've been a widow for 2 years. I need you to help me. And I called the person. I said, that's a very bad pitch. I said, what is it you can do? Being a widow is not a talent.
What value can you
add to the... I said, it's not... When Joseph was in prison, he wasn't brought because he could dream. He provided solution to something. What value are you bringing? When David was invited to the palace, it was because he could play the harp. And it calmed the king down. What value are you bringing? Most times when people come to you and say, I need a job. And you say, okay, why do you need a job? You say, my wife is pregnant. How does that make me make money?
Okay, let me ask you, like looking at diversification and talent management now, do you think that we are doing enough from the family background, knowing that you're a family man and of course your kids are doing excellently well in their field? Do you think we encourage our children enough from the home space to identify who they are, to groom their talent? Because like you said, I was involved in a recruitment and I discovered that some Nigerians are not even employable because they are on the route.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, what else can you do aside from somebody said, I can be a receptionist. She applied for a receptionist and all she thought was coming to type on computers. What else can you do? And she found out she was mumbling. So do you think that we do enough from the family space to encourage our children to even grow and discover themselves?
You see, when I started reading at the age of 3. I was reading the Tide. I was reading the New Nigerian newspaper. I was reading West African Pilot. I was reading all those Observer, Tribune, and all of that. So I read it at age 3. So I read it out to my dad. I would not understand what I was reading, but my dad would then explain. I would say the Olusegun Obasanjo government has done this, the so and so Murtala Mohammed government has done that, this one has done this, and I keep reading all of those. And my dad would then explain to me. So when he comes, he will say, what is in the Tribune? The front page, I'll read it out. But gradually, I then found out that my greatest ability was in thought positioning. My greatest ability was in reasoning, understanding, and comprehension. So I started expressing myself in that line. What a lot of people do is that they do not want to expand their abilities. They keep it as it is and expect that. So I don't know if you've met people who say, I will learn on the job, just give me the job first. Okay, if you get to the hospital and you need to be treated, will you tell the doctor?
I will get well in the process. Just administer the injection.
Exactly. So some people tell you, just give me the job. Or the people who tell you, I want any kind of job at all.
Yeah.
But there are people who are prepared for certain jobs. Those people who are prepared for certain jobs are like those 5 maidens who join your organization and come with 5 extra oils. Then there are some who join and do not have the extra oil. So when they join and you then say, why didn't you use your initiative? Should you have waited for us to know that this is important? They say, I thought you would come first. But somebody else has taken a decision. So those are the things. So the ability to add value, productivity of people is low in this country. Whether it is a comedian, whether it's a hairdresser, whether it's I don't know if you've used artisans lately.
Yeah.
When I was renovating my office, there were tiles that were to be done. We got this guy from, it's not like the people are bad, but this guy is from Ogun State. He came, laid the tiles, the thing was really... So one of my guys came and said, he's a builder. He said, man, with this kind of tiles that you bought, man, this guy should have not done this. Thank God he has not finished, but he's messed it up. Let's get somebody else. I said, but this guy came recommended. He said he's messed it up. So they got this boy from Cotonou. When this boy came, I knew he was doing the work. The guy that came before just laid the sand, spread the thing, got the tires, put it. This guy that came from Cotonou put a rope on the other side, laid it on this side to this and then tied it, and then laid it was a cross diagonal this thing. Then he started measuring all of this, and then counted the tires that he had. And he told me, we may have some broken pieces, so we need one more pack. The other one that was laying nonsense wasted like 5 extra packs. So this guy measured it mathematically, yes, and then started laying it. His designs were proper. So finishing is also a problem. You may go to a place Okay, there are some tailors that will charge you 30,000 naira to make an outfit for you, and then there are some that will charge you 100. But the one that even charges you 30, they make it better. So it's about productivity, it's about professionalism, it's about knowing what you want, and knowing your brand and knowing what you stand for. Because everybody you do something for must recommend you.
You know, I'm sorry I have to interrupt you, you know, because with all you've shared thus far, you know, I want to bring it back to politics.
Okay.
Our leaders and politicians in Nigeria, a perfect example of I can't leave power, or I want to die there, so to speak. So my question is, you know, it's good to be resilient, because that's another word I picked also in some of the information or the submission you've given us thus far. But how do we know when to quit in a certain line of career? For example, the person you just gave now regarding someone who was laying the floor for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have the courage to, you know, advise people on where their strength lies and how to quit what they are doing to diversify into something else.
Okay, you see, when it comes to politics and the people who are there who refuse to leave, one thing first is that our constitution is weak. And there are no consequences to misbehavior. So you see somebody who was living in a 3-bedroom flat go into governance, and in 2 years, 3 years down the line, he's moved into Banana Island. Nobody questions him. Nobody asks how he got that money. You see a civil servant that is a level 12 officer that has a shopping mall, and you're wondering, there are people who have worked as accountants for 25 years, can't own a shopping mall. But nobody asks questions. When you ask, they'll be like, what is your own problem?
But you don't question poverty.
You have ministers who were charged and say, okay, you say you bought 2 Mercedes Benz or BMW for bulletproof W for 160 million. The BMW people themselves said that we don't sell 2 of our cars that price, and put out a statement. Then when the question started going on, people in this country started questioning the people who were asking questions. That it is witch hunting. So what it says is that once people hold on to power, it is a lifetime job, and they do not want to leave there, even when they are not productive.
Yes.
So how do you deal with that? There are consequences. Yeah, now they're asking Boris Johnson to refund money for renovation of his office, of his house. That his wife. Here, it won't happen.
It won't. It won't.
And it's about values. It's about values. It's about the constitution. It's about the punishment for things that you do. There are people who do not pay taxes, right? But still live like they are gods, they are kings.
Yes.
Nobody goes after them. If you try to, it will be political. If you ask somebody to refund money that was missing in an office, they say, what about the person that was there before? Remember the story of Jam? The man that was there before was not refunding money to government, but government was paying salaries.
Yes.
The man that came was paying salaries and refunding money to government. And so you're not torn between, is it that we don't know how to select our leaders, or the leaders we select misbehave and we can't deal with them? It's a big problem. But the bottom line of all of this is that we've missed out the core part of development, which is education. And when the military came in, that was when it was messed up totally. Because most of the military boys did not go to school. And so they did not see the value in education. And so when it was time to give money to education, they will give the money to defense. They will give the money to their friends and cronies and develop every other thing. But if you look at it, there were universities that were built back then. Some of the universities haven't had a new block by the government in the last 40 years. A new block. Meanwhile, the government is opening schools, universities in different places. Why? Government is trying to appeal to a political base instead of make sure that education is actually pursued. So for them it is, or maybe roads. They'll say, let's do the road between Ikodepene and Uyo. And they'll be like, why should we do the road? They didn't vote for us. Or why should we do the road? The man that is your opposition, that man that is against Senator so and so is from that place. And so they don't do it. They forget that the economic benefit of that road
It's for that person.
exactly will come to all of those people. You find that lately, a lot of the government officials will be ready to sell anything to make money instead of do something to make money.
Which is why refineries are not working, which is why buildings are not renovated. So they want to build new ones. And then the ones that they want to renovate, the money for renovating the old ones is more than the money that they use to build a new one. You have airports that have not been expanded, so certain planes can't land in those airports. You go to foreign airports, you find that we're just a waste of land. You go to Heathrow, for instance, you walk past under the tarmac. Because right on top of you is the tarmac. The tunnel under leads you to another side of the place. So you have Terminal B, Terminal 2, Terminal 3, Terminal 4, all of it around the same place. What it means is we do not like to expand the possibilities that we have or key into them. We just want get the money, share it.
At this point, I'm sorry, I have to interject because we're still talking about education.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the Tyler,
Yeah.
I was going to tell you that in the West African coast,
Technical
these
schools.
they have technical schools. They go through training.
Yeah.
But here is apprenticeship. Somebody is a bricklayer. So you bring your son that is 9 years old to learn, from somebody who probably doesn't know the job well. So he's not going to get better at it.
Sure.
So when we're talking about, it should be inculcated in our curriculum. That's what they do in these nearby countries, Cotonou and the likes, Togo. It should be there in the curriculum so that it's not everybody that can have this intellectual capacity. So that those who do not, they go to vocational schools, they go to technical colleges. Do you understand? So I want to believe your opinion now. This is what we should be doing at this point. There's so much emphasis on paper qualification, and it hasn't helped us up till this point.
Okay.
So what's your take, sir?
Now, most times it's the term of a government.
Yeah.
It has become a do or die affair to win an election. Okay, so what happens is that every year it's towards making sure that you win the fort in the next election.
Okay.
So when you win the election, the first year is to consolidate your position. Know what the other person has chopped or not chopped. Know what is remaining. Know what is remaining. Know what you need to continue so that you can win more votes for the next election. So that first year is gone.
Yes.
Now the second year you begin to plan how to get into your government proper. By the time you get into your government proper, the third year has come. The third year is to prepare for your exit in the fourth year. And so when you mention education,
Yes.
how much of education will make this next government win the next election? None. What will make the government win the next election is who gets enough contracts to be able to fund the next election.
Yeah.
So education is not the matter. When you notice, when it gets to the third year or towards the third year, you begin to see a lot of work going on.
Yes.
Because at that time, the person has settled, the person knows what to do, and everything the person is doing is towards winning the next election. And so by the third year, half of the third year till the fourth year is elections. So who should we target?
That's a good question to find out. But before then, let's go on a quick break and get a word from our sponsors. Please stay with us. Hi, many thanks for staying with us. Glad to know you're still with us. In case you just joined the conversation, today we've been talking on the career dynamics and business transitioning, and our guest on the show is the African famous Alibaba. Don't forget that you can be part of the conversation by calling the studio number 08098877400, and of course it's showing on your screen right now. And you can also put a comment on our social media platform. We're streaming it live on YouTube, Facebook, and of course not Twitter. And of course, you can try to subscribe to our YouTube page, Real Talk with Kike. I must say, all you've been sharing thus far is so, I love your submission thus far. So some of the youth are doing great and exceptionally well, while majority of the youth also lack bearing. We've seen an example that my colleague here also cited earlier from one of the questions that she asked you. So as the greatest asset to the country and this generation, what can we do, either from the government or from the youth themselves, to turn the narrative around? Because it's really appalling when you hear a lot of for lack of a better word, because quite a number of people call me out when I use some certain English, that they just refuse to develop themselves. Maybe that's the word to use.
Okay, you see, what happens with a lot of youth right now is that they're just struggling to survive.
Sure.
Most of the youth are struggling to survive. There was a video that went viral about 2 weeks ago of an exam in a medical school, and students were running out to the balcony to copy from textbooks. Medical school.
Wow.
Now, my nephew just finished from law school, and he says that during the exam, there are people who faint and they carry them out. In fact, when the exams are about to start, they bring like 2-3 ambulances to the exam hall.
Wow.
Because there are some people who will just pretend that they are dying right now. Okay. It's the same thing that happens in schools. You mentioned about the vocational school.
Yes,
there are people who do not want to go to school, but you have to go to the original cause of the problem. First thing is that people don't know how to read, write, or comprehend. So people go to primary school at the age of 6, or when their hand can touch their ear, and when they get to that school, they start with A is for apple. I was saying that most people can't read or write. So if they can neither read nor write, what it means is that they can't assimilate education. So, direct example, my daughter, when she was 4, was watching a cartoon series called Top Cat, where the fast talking, the Top Cat was speaking, and my daughter was laughing, and my cousin, who was in JSS 3, came visiting, and called me and asked in Urobo, "Mavosa was you Ibonana? How is she speaking this English?"
Exactly.
And I said, watching these cartoons and all this one, that he doesn't understand one thing that they are said in this thing. And Top Cat speaks fast.
Very fast. I've seen that.
Oh, Officer Devil is coming, Officer Devil is coming, let's get out of here, we don't need to be caught. And my daughter is laughing. And the guy is like, what did
He said, what have you been saying?
So, what it means is that this is JSS 3.
Yes.
And I promise you, there are some people in SS 3 that still can't read. So what happens is, the question paper that WAEC will give to SS 3 in Kaduna will be the same question paper you will get in Agbara, in Ughelli, and get in Port Harcourt. If the person can't read, how will the person answer the questions? Now, it's even tricky with JAMB. JAMB will give you 50 questions to answer. There are some of the questions that won't have answers. The point I was making is that education is the bedrock of development.
Exactly.
But we've abandoned it. When Oshomole, now that they called from Edo State, when Oshomole was governor, Oshomole found out that there were teachers who couldn't even read.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, if the person who is teaching needs to be taught, then it means that the product the person will have from the class will be zero.
Oh, definitely.
Now, he now said he was going to fire the teachers. What happened? The teachers went on strike. Other labor unions joined. And he backtracked and stopped it. The same thing happened in Kaduna now.
Yeah.
This man says, this man that is even a teacher is not qualified to be in the class. And labor went on strike. So what does it mean? It's the same thing like I was telling you when somebody is supposed to buy somebody who's a minister bought vehicles and they said that's not supposed to be, and people were protecting the person. You find a case where they found money in Ikoyi property, and people are saying the person that has the apartment should be tried, and people are saying it's witch hunting. So what has happened is that, like I said in the beginning, I said there are no consequences to dealing with anything. don't forget that what also killed our education was when they stopped doing first, second, third promotion. When they used to do first to,
Really?
yeah, oh yes. What then happened was that, okay, let me tell you what happened. Now you have 32 people in the class.
Yes.
They all pay school fees. When this term finishes, you promote all of them to the next class, so you can take 32 new people in. But back then, if 14 of you failed, you repeat.
Oh yes, definitely.
But you see, if 14 people repeat that class, it means you can't take 32 new people in
room for others
who will pay new school fees. Because the parents of these 14 will begin to complain. And so what happens is that you just continue to ship them and push them out. Don't forget that if you do not understand class 1, class 2 will be difficult. 3 will be more difficult. 4 will be impossible.
I'm glad you touched on that, and I think this leads me to the next question, because I know that Oni of Ife also lamented on the youth not being carried along in the management of the country.
Yes.
And I'm speaking from the angle of the youth now. All we are doing right now is about display of agitation.
Okay.
Maybe that's the word to use. So my question to you, sir, is that who are those that we are strategizing for 2023? That's the first question. Question A. The pregnant question is that what should the youth be doing now in terms of leadership strategy? And my third question is these old people, so to speak, have started parading themselves for 2023.
It's part of the positioning.
So what should we do when it comes to restructuring that they are trying to turn down? Those are 3 questions for you, and I'll be glad if you can answer them in 2 minutes. Because
all of these problems that we're having can be solved with restructuring.
Okay.
Yes.
Make sure that every state takes care of themselves.
Okay.
If you are in Jigawa, Taraba, Yobe,
we have seen the likes of Bode George who have said that restructuring is not what is going to bring solutions.
Let me tell you why.
Yeah.
The thing is that it's like a man who has 4 wives.
Okay.
One of them is a civil servant, the other one is a businesswoman, the other 2 are full-time housewives. The one that is full-time housewife has 2 children. The one that is a businesswoman has 2 children, because they're busy, so they didn't have time to have children. The ones that are full-time housewives one has 7, another one has 6,
9.
but they're not working. So the ones that are working, those civil servants and the businesswoman, they make money and give to the husband, and the husband shares for everybody. So your children will get 2,000. That one that has 7 and 11 will get to 2,000 each. So these 2 are working for the man to take care of everybody. What it means is that what these 2 people are earning, that should have taken care of their family and given them great comfort,
Yes.
are now spread around all those other 2 that are full-time housewives. That is the problem. So somebody in Lagos, as a governor, decides to buy a bulletproof vehicle. The one in Jigawa that is not earning money to even buy a bulletproof will also buy the same vehicles. So you have a police force in Jigawa that can't be funded because of the money in the state. But you take the money from Bayelsa, Delta, Lagos, Edo, Rivers to take care of all of that. So what it means is, let restructuring start. If restructuring start, all the people fighting for new state creations will not start. They will keep quiet.
To silence them. Definitely. So, as we're saying, the way the country is right now, we talk about the state of the nation. In your wisdom, what can we do to move our dear nation forward?
Our nation.
Our dear nation.
Our dear nation.
So first thing is that we need a new constitution.
Okay.
And the constitution will state and stipulate that every state should handle their resources.
Okay.
By then, we will now know whether it is the state. In fact, by then, your constitution will then state what punishment would be, or in fact, the new laws in your. So, like Oklahoma is different from what is happening in Maryland.
Very true.
So the constitution then has to state that each state must take care of themselves. So if you look at it now, most of the states that are doing well are states that have more money. Rivers, Lagos, Bayelsa. Okay, so Bayelsa even, their internally generated revenue is 0. Nearly 0. But they make more money. And so the money then goes to federal and then they share to them. So what happens is our constitution should make sure that governors are not waiting for money to come. Where is the granite pyramid? The land that you have in the north, a lot of those lands need to be irrigated. But until you make water get to those places, you cannot irrigate the land and plant as much as you want. But you see, it's okay for you to draw a refinery, a pipeline from the south all the way to the north. But you can't draw water from the south all the way to the north to irrigate the land. Meanwhile, you already have the right of way. So your pipelines have been laid. All you need to do is lay another water pipeline on top of the one that is
existent,
and take the water to the north and make sure. The reason people are moving to the south now, the herdsmen, because there's no land, there's no green grass. So they're moving away from all those places. What does this say? It means that if you have an ecological fund which has been funded, if you have a commissioner, a minister for environment, a minister for water resources, there's no reason that the green areas in the north cannot be increased. When a place like Dubai, that was all desert, has green areas.
All right.
So that we need to develop that and make sure that each state can develop by its own terms and not be living on the resources of another. That's the way Nigeria can go forward.
All right. I would say many thanks for your contribution thus far, and of course for honoring our invitation. You have so enlightened with quite a number of nuggets that you've shared today. But before we let you go, there's a segment that we call Trending Story, and this is stories that affect us all, that bind us together.
Sure.
And the first story that caught our attention is that of the Father's Day celebration, where single parents, or single mothers, so to speak, are claiming honor and accolade for Father's Day. Father's Day celebration, to be precise, saying that the gender doesn't matter, but the roles and responsibility defines who the father is. I should start with you, Efo. What's your submission with all of this?
I totally disagree. I'm a single parent mom myself, and I totally disagree when I hear my fellow women say they should be recognized on Father's Day. A father is a father, a mother is a mother. It doesn't really matter if you are the one picking up all the bills, or you're not picking up both bills. You're not father and mother to your own children. You understand? The way the Lord God has made it, the man is the man, the woman is the woman. So we've had our own Mother's Day, and the men have cried foul. Mother's Day every month, every week. Now it's just one day. Celebrate the responsible men and just give them tops up. That's all, basically. So, Damilola,
I like the fact that you ended it with celebrate the responsible men. See, father or mother is title. Responsibility is key. Either you are taking up daddy, mommy, auntie, grandpa, or grandma role. But for the responsibility to be done is the main thing. We have children roaming around the streets who lacked this basic responsibility. So it's just title. Let somebody do it. If you are absent, please be absent like that and go like that. Just walk away like that and don't look for fatherhood or title. Let the women take it. Happy Father and Mother's Day, Papa the Mama. To God be the glory.
All right, I think my son
Alibaba hasn't said anything.
Sir, in 1 minute, what's your take on this?
There's a difference between being a father and being a daddy.
Okay.
Yes.
You can be a father and not be a daddy, but you're still a father. It's like you can be a Nigerian and still not get the benefits of being a Nigerian, but you're still a Nigerian.
Yes.
So the role of the father, the person who then performs the role of a father well, may then be the one you then want to call a daddy. That is a daddy to your children. But it doesn't change the fact that the person is a father. And it's just a one-day celebration.
Yes,
so
exactly.
if you want to play the role of daddy and mommy together, it's okay. But the thing is, the person who is still the father is the father, which is why most people can't have a child and give you your father your own surname, your biological, your maiden name. So you can't have married somebody and then you decide, because I am the one taking care of everything, you change.
But some people change names.
But it is not right.
It's not.
Okay.
We talked
No, we're not. It is not right.
It is not supposed to be right.
All right, so quickly, this is my submission on the topic matter. I will say, we women, let's not be stingy to let them have it. It's sad the way we cannot allow the men to have a day out of 365 days. There's no Brother's Day, there's no Son's Day, just one Father's Day. We have almost them by every month, if not every day, to celebrate mothers. Mothers have maybe 3 or 4 days in a year. However, do I recognize the fact that there are mothers playing both roles? Yes, they are mothers, and I understand their pain. What is the role of a father? It goes beyond birthing. It goes beyond, as far as I'm concerned, just bringing the child to the world. It's about spirituality. It's about the financial contribution. It's about education. It's about upbringing. And it's also about upbringing. The pain of single mothers, with what I have observed on Sunday, is towards the father who have neglected their responsibilities, who have decided not to fulfill the roles as a father. So in a nutshell, I think I will use this opportunity to say Happy Father's Day once again to the real fathers. I want to use this opportunity to reach out also to the father of my children. He is a good provider and a thoughtful one who also, took time out that day to come and say, you know what, I have to come and check my kids.
Happy Father's Day.
I also want to use this opportunity to reach out to my father. Double the role of a father and a mother while I was growing up. And I think without minimizing words, both men and women should recognize the roles and live up to their responsibility and to make the society a better place, because it all
let's hear that.
Wait. But that said, it shouldn't be when the mother refused for the father to play his role.
I agree.
No, of course, I think so.
Because they are mothers who have said, because of, and then you make sure that they make the child know that the father is a bad person, forgetting that they were the ones that refused for the father.
So I think that's bad.
Yes,
I think
we have that
that's bad.
class. We have different classes.
They are bad.
So we have to break it down properly.
If you are the one refusing, you are on your own. Let the guy, because at the end of the day, the guy will still bear the child's name.
Oh, because of time, we have another. The last trendy story is unfortunate that we couldn't take all the trendy story. I would have loved to hear Alibaba's opinion. And the last one is the marriage and divorcee of the Ivory Coast former president Laurent Gbagbo. I hope I pronounced that. Was divorced on Monday from his wife of 3 decades. His lawyer said that days after the highly anticipated return into the country, he had to file for divorce. Sir, I don't know if you caught the story. In 1 minute, what's your take, sir?
Gbagbo
has given them
I think what happens most times is that people, they said overstayed hospitality, or overstretched tolerance, yes, and which then accumulates into irreconcilable differences.
But I think with this, what you said, sometimes last year too, the great Sheikh Odegbami had the same issues, and it was in the dailies that he was divorcing his wife after 30 years based on frivolous lifestyles. Then I discussed with somebody and I said, but you would have known or seen the handwriting on the wall that she's frivolous. But management and patching, we don't let us see that the basket is leaking. But when you now leak all
most times it's not even when the person is doing well, some people may leave. Like the wife of the former president of Sarkozy, the president of France, who the wife said, I didn't plan for all these razzmatazz and everything, and she was leaving. But I know families in Nigeria, if they were married to a president and the woman says she would leave, they will find another wife. You see the way she opened her mouth now. They say,
because of you, I think that
spiritually and physically.
Because of time, I think that I have to quickly give my own 1 minute submission. And for me, the stories breaks my heart, because I quite understand that the man has his reasons and justification for filing for divorce after 30 years of marriage. But for me, the reasons are not, if it's not based on infidelity, matter of life and death, then what is it that you cannot sort out your differences? For crying out loud, what is sometimes I ask myself, what is happening to marriage nowadays? The divorce rates are too alarming. Leaders such as President of Ivory they should understand that they are role models, and this is the reason why.
Let me tell you, it is not that it's alarming. It is now being reported.
Yes.
Back in the days, there were people who were leaving marriages, go to another marriage, have a child, and then come back to this marriage again, and then continue having. There were many, but the thing is that there were no newspapers report. Don't forget that in the days of city people and prime people, news was weekly. So if something happens now, before you respond to it, it will be another week before you respond. But now it's on the whole time.
All right, on that note, we've come to the end of another exciting episode, and it was wonderful having you on the show today. Many thanks. I'm sending you kisses.
Where is the lunch?